Hello gamers, it's SoftKitty99 and today we're in the Minecraft Creative Builds world and we're at our moon landscape. I know you might need to use your imagination a little bit, but I've got the closest I could to a moon landscape in Minecraft. Found this nice mountainous area, it's all rocky, and we're building a representation of the house flipper house, the house on the moon, here in Minecraft. So in the last episode we got the layout for the house, so let me go up a little bit so you can see it. We've got a cross shape in the middle with little square rooms on the side, and all the rooms are the same size. So if you want to go back and look at that in the last episode, the rooms are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 by 10 squares. So this whole thing is built out of 10 by 10 squares. So we've got a cross in the middle and then the 10 by 10 in each of the 4 corners like so. Just in case you missed the first episode. And then we've got a little hydroponics bay on the side, and in the last episode I did say I would build the hydroponics bay and then I forgot about it, so let's do that here. So here I found a little tree and I put it into a hydroponics bay. I just thought that would be really nice to save the tree rather than have to clear it out for our moon landscape. So to build the little hydroponics bay, what we want are, hang on, let's do this. So let's put them in. So in 1 I'm going to have the podzol. In 2 we're going to have the polished andesite. If you don't like the polished andesite, of course you can change that for a different block. Just a stone type of block is what I was thinking of, or you could use iron if you prefer. And then for my final one we have the glass. I'm using the clear glass and it's the square, not the pane. So to build these little hydroponics bays, if you start with the andesite, you want a row of 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you go across the corner and put 1 there, and then you go diagonal again across the corner, and this time we want 1, 2, 3, then diagonal and just 1, coming back on yourself, and then diagonal again and 1, 2, 3, and then diagonal and just 1, and then diagonal and 1, 2, 3 in a straight line, and then a diagonal again. So this is what we've got. We've got 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1 around until we've got the shape there. It's a sort of circle, but it's not a full circle because it's too small to really become a circle in Minecraft, but it's the closest you can get at that size. And I'm putting this directly in line with the previous one, so you could have a whole row of them in a long line if you want, or you could just put a couple. I thought I'd put a couple in this corner area here, and then of course you can add more wherever you like. You could put them in each of the corners, you could put 1 in each of the corners, you could put 2 in each of the corners, you could put a big row of them or a big bank of them. It all depends on how much space you've got. Then I want to grab the podzol and fill the interior of this planter space that we've got all the way through, and then you have to adjust this slightly depending on what you want to put inside of it. If you want to plant crops, you would then take the centre square out and fill it with water so that you could plant crops around that would actually grow. If you want to use a flower bed, you can just leave the whole thing full, or if you want to plant a small tree, you could do that as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a flower bed, but the more you build, the more variety you can have in the things that you want to keep. And I think if you kind of want it to be like a self-sufficient place, you would probably plant the crops, so you just take out the centre square to do that. I think we want to keep the taste of our foliage from home in this one, so I'm going to grab the rosebush, the peony, the lilac, and then we got something smaller for the edges. I think I'd like to go for sort of traditional flowers, so let's go for the small azure bluet, and let's use the cornflower. I think that's what we'll do. So around the centre, I think we will have, right in the centre, I think we want a peony, so let's find the exact centre, put in a peony, and then at the side of that I'm going to put a rose in front of it at each of the 4 sides of it, and then grab the lilac and do the corners coming out, so it's slowly extending from the centre in a pattern. Of course you can do this any way that you fancy for your own. Then I want the cornflower, I'm going to put that in the centre at the front, so it's slightly tiered at the edges, and then I want the azure blue, and we're going to put that at the two sides, going around like so. So mine is full, and then we want to grab the glass, and I want to make it exactly the same as the first one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of glass coming up. So 1, 2, 3. Whoa! Oh no, that's not the right place, Kitty. 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 tall. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just do that all the way around, so that they all match the same height. You could make them slightly smaller if you don't want to put trees in, but I like the choice of changing it for different things, so I'd like to make it 4 tall. Now if you are going to put a tree in, I would build it up to the 4 tall and put the dome up, and then I would knock a couple of pieces of glass out, put your tree in and bone meal it, and then put the last 2 pieces of glass back in, so that the tree then can't exceed the space that it's got to grow in, just so you don't have a problem. If you plant the tree first, you could end up with a really big one and then it won't fit. And then what we want to do, as you can see, is we want to slowly go in row by row. So we want to have the glass be 1 row inside. So I'm going to put an extra block on top of there to put the edge in, and then of course we remove the one that was on top. Or you can go around the corner and remove the corner. So just 1 block around the interior, so like so. And then we want to go on top here and fill this in. So fill this in here, 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 remove that spacer block, and then 1 right on the top there. So we've got 1 block here, we've got a 3 by 3 square on this row, and then we've got 3 on each side of the square on the next row, and then we're down to the 4 rows tall there. So that's what it looks like from, I'm going to go down a little bit so you can see the roof there. A little bit hard to see sometimes with the glass. So we've got 1 3 by 3, then we've got 3 at each side of the 3, and then you're onto the 4 tall sides. So it's not too difficult, I don't think. And then you build as many or as few of those as you like around your build. I'm just going to leave it at those 2 for now, and then we can always add more later if we want to. So let's clear our inventory and let's move on to the roof itself. So I'm going to keep the roof really simple. I'm going to use iron because I'm thinking moon, probably built as a moon base, don't want it to be too complicated, so I'm going to use blocks of iron. But there are lots of other things that you could use. You could use any other sort of metallic looking block. You could use things like the white diorite, you could use the grey stone, anything that you think would look good for your build. So let's pick up the block of iron, and I'm just going to put that everywhere except for the grey. So we're going to run it along the interior wall all the way around the build, like so, and then we're going to fill all of this interior space in with the iron. Once that's done, all of this interior is going to be filled in with the iron, and then on the outside edge, so that it's got that little bit of depth, we want to use a slab. Now you can use the one of your choice, so you could use things like polished diorite, you could use quartz, you can use the smooth stone slab, whichever one you think fits best. I'm going to use the smooth stone slab for mine, and you just want to run that along this 1 block of slab all the way around the edge of your build. So you can see what we've got. That we've got a slightly tiered effect to the edge of the build. Now I'm not extending it over the edge of the build because I want the whole thing to feel modular and squarish, because it is a base built on the moon. So from the side, this is the way it's going to look. So you've got that little bit of a lift, but it is still very square and blocky, because that's the feel that we want, because it's a base built on the moon, it would have come modularly, and that's how it would have all been built. So I'm going to go ahead and completely fill in the rest of this, and then I'll come back and show you what I've got. So all the roof is now filled in, and this is what it looks like. It's a great big flat open space, but I think because it's all the iron and everything, it is the kind of feel that you would have if you really were building a house on the moon. You could of course adapt all of it into a roof garden if you're not using it as a moon type build, but I'd like the idea of having it as a moon type build, and I also think that it would be quite fun to do a few little different things on the roof. So I was thinking we could have like I'm not quite sure how to do this actually. So if we come 3 tall with blocks of iron, and then we can use some of the iron bars, I think we'll try and make like a satellite dish, so you could think it's like it's for communication. So I think what we would want to do, we would want a little bit of a base sort of area for, let's think, how can we make this work? I really don't have a clue how to build this. I just kind of want it to feel a bit like a satellite dish. I'm just not quite sure how to make it into the right sort of shape, to be honest. I really would like a half slab tool to make like a side to it, so we could like have a half slab on the edge like we've done with the base, but we can't do that. So what we've got to try and do is build it up a little bit to make it look sort of like we were thinking. So I'm kind of trying to get like the idea of a dish, but we can't really build a dish properly, I don't think. So how about if we come a bit further out and up, and we come across like this? How does that look? It's kind of the sort of, maybe not coming further forward there, like this. Does that kind of give us an idea of the sort of shape you might have? Maybe not ideal. If we come across, no, we can't do that because that's going to join all together. Maybe we could bring it out a little bit further in the middle area here to give it kind of more of the right sort of shape. You have to use your imagination a little bit. Now if anybody else can come up with a better design than this, I'm very happy to see it, but you can't really put that centre in. How about if we put the slabs across the top? How about we use the pressure plates instead across? Can't really put, can I put one in the centre here? I can't really, can I? I have to use the stone slab, I think, to come across. Yeah, no, it's not. It's sort of the right sort of idea, isn't it? And if we put a slab sort of here for like the antenna in the centre, I think that's the best I can come up with on short notice, because I didn't really think of doing this before. So in a couple of seconds, this is what I've come up with. So let me show you from the different angles in case you want to try to replicate that, but have a play around yourself, see what you can come up with as a good design for like a satellite dish of communication on your roof. So that's what I've come up with as an idea. See, and we've got the iron there, so you can sort of think about it being on a ratchet and rotating to get the inclination that you want to be able to send signals or receive signals. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And then I'd like to go for a slab and just come a couple tall, and then put the iron bars on top of it to kind of build like a receiver or a short-term communication for on the moon, that sort of thing here, like this. So it'd be quite a tall idea. You've got those wand antenna things that you can be using these days, and then of course you can always put buttons on things for like giving the impression that you've got mechanisms for turning and being on and off and that sort of idea. And then any sort of thing like that you might want to put on the roof, you could do that sort of idea. And you could always build storage tanks and things in metal or in doors and things on the roof. So you could build like a little Actually, let's do it in the stone so it stands out a bit more. So I'd say that the smallest you could build is like 4x4, isn't it? Because that would then give you a 2x2 space on the interior, and you can make that into like water storage and stuff. That sort of idea. And I've seen people use doors to make water storage as well, though I've never really liked that idea personally. But yeah, I have seen people use things like doors for making water storage units. So you can make those a little bit smaller because of the actually want them on the exteriors, don't we? So we'd want them on just to make sure you've got them on the edges, on the outside edges, to do like this. That sort of idea. And then you can just decorate the roof up any way that you want to. I think that's more than enough ideas, don't you? But that's my ideas for the exterior of the house, you see, like this. So we've done our hydroponics bays, we've put our roof on, and we've put some of the accoutrements that you might want on the roof to give you some ideas and some flavour for what we're going to do. Right, so the next thing to do now, of course, is the interior of the build, which you can do any way you want. But I would like to pick up a few items that I thought might be useful for my kitchen. So let's replace a few of the items I've already got in my hotbar and pick up the frames and the birchwood button and the grey concrete and a cauldron and a furnace or an oven, depending on how you want to describe them. So we can now remove these items because we've picked those up, and we're going to work first on the kitchen. Now on the interior I have been in and put some lanterns all around the roof so that we can see. So I've started right at the end and then I've left gaps of 3 and just put the lanterns everywhere. That pattern doesn't work for absolutely everywhere, but for most of the places in the corridors it works pretty well. And for the smaller rooms I've put one in each of the corners. So this is our kitchen area with our big open walk-in spaces from the 2 directions. So decide which side you want your furnaces on. I'm going to put 2 furnaces down for this, and then I'm going to want a fridge over in the corner. I'm going to put mine in this corner here. So 4 blocks of iron in a little 2x2 square. Grab the iron door and put those just in front. Make sure you've got them with the handles on the inside and the hinges on the outside, so that looks like a fridge. Then around the edges of our furnace we want to add our work surfaces. I'm choosing to use the grey concrete. You could use any type of concrete or wood to make your surfaces depending on your colour scheme and how you want it to look. And then we want to have upper cabinets 1 block away from the lower cabinets or in line with where the top of the fridge is. I'm going to put them all the way around to there. I'm going to leave a gap where the furnaces are so we can go up and down, and I've forgotten to put in my cauldron for my sink, so decide where in your kitchen you're going to want that. So for me I'm going to put it close to the fridge. So this is where we've started. Now grab the item frame and we want to put that on the front of some of the units. Now I'm not going to put it on the one next to the sink, that's the word. For some reason I couldn't think of it. Instead I'm going to put a stone pressure plate on top of that one because this is going to be your draining board area, and also because it's a corner you can't put a frame in both of these spaces, so I always think this is the best one to put the work surface for the draining board on, because it then doesn't look so odd. Now go back and put your item frames on all of your Well, actually it will go. Ooh, oh, they've changed it. Look, we can put them in corners. Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. We can do more than we expected. Now, decide what colour you want your work surfaces to be and grab the carpet of your personal preference. I'm going to use the light grey because that matches the colour scheme that I've gone with. You could use white, of course, if you're going for a similar colour scheme, or you can use any colour you want to fit your own colour scheme. So that's where we are on this, and then I want to grab the buttons, the birch buttons. I'm going to use birch buttons to make little handles for the centre of my surfaces. For these fronts of your cupboards, you can use glass, you can use different types of buttons, you can customise it the way that you want to. You can even use like pieces of food stuff and things to make out a storage system that makes it look like you've thought really carefully about how to store things and where everything goes so that nobody ever has a problem finding it. Now I want the tripwire hook to make us a tap above our sink, and that is our kitchen completed. So there you go, that's the kitchen. And then the rest of the house you can decorate any way that you would like to, but in the next episode I will show you the way that I am going to decorate the rest of it for myself. So hope you've enjoyed today's build. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. From SoftKitty99, goodbye and happy gaming!